Hi there. Welcome to the Imperfect Prophet podcast for women who wonder. Frankly, as we go through life, I'm sure we wonder about a great deal. First as little kids, then as adolescents, then as young women, then as transitional women. What are we calling ourselves these days? And then you get to this point in life, or my point in life, when you're postmenopausal and wondering what's next. Wondering if the parade already passed you by. Join me, Wonder Wendy. I'm going to be your host as we talk about some of these unique challenges that face women today in a new millennium, going through menopause and trying to live a rich, full life. There might even be a few men and younger women that want to listen in too. That's okay. But there's a roller coaster and we're all on it. And I'm going to be your guide to help you figure out when you should close your eyes, when you should hang on, and maybe we'll explore some ideas for what works for you if it doesn't work for me, or vice versa. So join the conversation, pick up your favorite beverage, and we'll talk to you soon. Welcome to the Imperfect Prophet.
It's a new week. We've moved into November, and it's so easy to get stressed out. I don't know about you, but the calendar starts to fill up for me. Dinners, deadlines, decorating. Everywhere you look, it's that nagging voice. If I can just get through the holidays, I'll relax. Oh, if I get what I really want for Christmas, I'll be happy. Wait, what? Are you waiting for something or someone to make you happy? Are you saving your joy for later? Because life doesn't hand out rain checks for happiness. It's a great quote. Happiness is not a destination. It's an attitude you choose to travel with. So says Sintra, one of my favorite yoga teachers. She says it a lot, like almost every class. She says it often enough that it's starting to sound like the chorus to the soundtrack of my life. Sometimes her words, they roll right over me. She's said it 100 times, right? And other times it smacks me right between the eyes. So I'm going to ask you again. Are you waiting for something to make you happy? Hey there, and welcome to another episode of The Imperfect Prophet, podcast for women who wonder. I'm your host, Wonder Wendy, and today we're talking about happiness. Not the postcard kind, not the bucket list checked off kind, but the traveling companion kind. Something you carry with you all the time, right next to your driver's license, chapstick, and keys in your pocket or purse. Carry that happiness as a reminder that life isn't about racing to get there. It's about how we move through what's already here. Here's another Sintraism. There are only 2 times you go to yoga. When you want to go, 2, when you don't want to go. Yep, sometimes you just gotta fake it till you make it. I sign up for my classes 1 week in advance. My way of making a plan to care for myself. That said, I don't always arrive in the most zen mood when the day actually comes. Sometimes my body is tired, or my back aches, or I just don't want to get off the couch. Maybe I've made some poor food and beverage choices that my body is reminding me about. That's when it's most important to go. Now, about halfway through the class, Sintra says again, happiness is not a destination, it's the attitude you choose to travel with. Then you hear it. Choose. You are going to travel this journey, but you have to choose to travel happy. And once again, I realize that showing up for myself is a blessing, no matter whether it's my best or my worst class. And trust me, there are days that I show up for class and don't do much more than stand there. But I'm part of the mental energy, I'm part of the practice, and I leave a little bit better. So, choosing to care for myself, choosing to be happy, not chasing happy, living it. I've walked into class grumpy, tired, or even teary, and walked out lighter, not because the world changed, but because I did. As we move through life, it can be bumpy, too many detours, not enough signs, I don't know about you, but I often look up and say, what's the plan? Hoping somebody's listening, that somebody might have an answer. But something in Cintra's phrase reminds me that I can't always control the terrain. I can, however, choose how I drive the road. We get to decide if we're going to grip the wheel and complain about every bump or roll the windows down and sing along. But we treat happiness like a finish line. When I finally get the job, when I lose the weight, when the kids are launched. I entered happiness on Google Maps, just out of curiosity. The top 2 recommendations were a bar and an ice cream shop. Those destinations might bring you transitory happiness, but they won't make you happy unless you choose to be. And life doesn't come with a GPS. There's no navigating system for happiness and wonder. You have to bring it with you, like dancing in the rain or singing out loud to keep your steps steady when you walk. The walk is long. You know how you do that. You're just walking along and starts to trudge, and they do it in the army. They sing cadence to just keep moving in pace. Sometimes singing makes the journey a little bit easier. And you all know how I love a good sing-along to brighten, almost any task. The other day, I popped into one of my favorite thrift shops. Bear with me, it'll tie back to this. And you know the kind, aisles of randomness, everything from sequin sweaters to mismatched teacups. Oh, I found an adorable apron and a beautiful skirt, by the way. Thrift stores are time machines with price tags. A little bit of nostalgia, maybe a little bit of chaos. One minute you're holding a fondue pot and remembering your parents' dinner parties. Do you remember those? The next you're wondering who owned that glittery tube top, and did they survive prom night? Eee. Anyway, as I wandered the store, I didn't even realize I was singing along to the music on the PA system until another woman walking toward me leaned in and joined in on the song. Now, for those few seconds, we weren't strangers anymore, just 2 women remembering how good it feels to be alive. I could feel the grin stretching across my face, the kind that reaches your eyes and makes you forget you're supposed to be acting like an adult, which is overrated, by the way. Then on my second lap of the store, ironically, in almost the same spot, another woman leaned through a shelf and joined in because apparently I was still singing along. 2 spontaneous duets, 1 joyful heart. Now, apparently my inner jukebox doesn't clock out when I leave the store. Last weekend at the wiffle ball tournament, they were playing 80s music again. Same soundtrack. I sang again, this time solo, and it just felt so good. The bleachers were kind of empty. All the activity was down on the field, so I wasn't holding back. Don't stop believing, like you do. It's not about who joins in. It's about the little lift inside of me. Happiness, it turns out, shouldn't depend on an audience. We talked about that when we talked about traveling solo a couple weeks ago. Sometimes you can sing simply because your soul needs the sound. And I thought of Cintra again. Happiness is not a destination, it's the attitude you choose to travel with. Turns out, it's also the playlist you bring along for the ride. Joy doesn't wait for the perfect moment. It sneaks up on you in a thrift shop aisles and the bleachers of a wiffle ball game. You just have to be open enough to let it in or sing anyway. And if singing isn't your thing, maybe it's the way you skip down a street or dance to the music or sway to the music in your head. It's okay. What is it they say? Dance like nobody's watching? Anyway, that split second between tripping and falling when your whole life flashes before your eyes and you're silently praying nobody caught it on camera? A few years ago, I was walking through a lovely marketplace to meet a friend for coffee at one of those cute sidewalk cafes that line the marketplace. I caught my toe on an uneven brick and did an epic fall right in front of everyone. People popped out of their chairs like popcorn. "Are you okay?" chorused from the cafe. Ow. The only thing bruised was my dignity. And for one glorious second, I wanted to be mad at the stupid brick, at gravity, at my shoes, myself. Why didn't I pick up my feet? I know better. But there's Cintra's voice again. It's the attitude you choose to travel with. So I stood there, laughed, and said, "I'm fine." Then I called my friend and said, "We need to go to a different cafe today. I can't go back there." And suddenly it wasn't a disaster anymore. That's the thing about perspective. 1 second of humor can cancel a whole day of irritation. Same moment, different lens. Now, leave it to Instagram to hand me my next spiritual download. Between a kitten reel and a recipe for pumpkin baked brie, I know I wrote that one down and I need to try it. I have a little mini pumpkin in my kitchen waiting for me to make it. Anyway, the post said, some people could be given an entire field of roses and only see the thorns. Others could be given a single weed and only see the wildflower in it. Perception shapes gratitude, and gratitude opens the door to joy. Boom, that's it. It's not about pretending everything's perfect. It's about how you look at it. You can't always change what's in front of you. The uneven sidewalk, ouch. The traffic jam, the burned dinner, oh no. But you can decide whether to stare at the thorn or marvel at the bloom. Gratitude is what shifts that focus. And happiness, it walks right through that open door. Allow that tiny reframe that changes everything from "why me" to "what's this here to teach me?" From "I have to" "I get to." Gratitude doesn't erase the hard stuff, but it reminds us that we're still capable of joy in the middle of it. That's what Sintra means. We don't need to chase happiness. We just need to notice the wildflower in the weed. And when we see that single blade of grass pushing up through the crack on the sidewalk, well, I don't know about you, but I smile. Because that's me too. Stubborn, green, and still growing, even in the most inhospitable locations. I want to tell you a story that I shared more fully in the book, Stepping into Gratitude. Check my website if you want to know more information about that book. It's about the worst Thanksgiving ever. And how gratitude turned it into something unexpectedly holy. It was 2020, right in the middle of the COVID pandemic. I got really sick and ended up in the hospital for emergency surgery. Now, during COVID, the staff was exhausted, overworked, and stretched thin. Safety protocols meant everyone was masked and shielded. And for days, I didn't see a single human face. I was so weak. So weak, I needed help with the simplest things. And I felt guilty, like I was adding to the burden of people who were already running on fumes. Then I made a decision. If I couldn't change the situation, I could change my attitude. So I decided to be as happy and as grateful as possible for everything they did for me. Every blanket tucked, every medicine delivered, every tiny kindness. Every time those poor people had to come in to pour my water because I wasn't strong enough to lift the water jug. And then a few minutes later, returned to help me go to the bathroom and do the whole cycle all over again, all day long. Now, I thought maybe I was an annoying client. But after a couple days, one of the nurses told me that the staff was actually talking about me in a good way. He said it was a bright spot in their shift, that they looked forward to coming into my room because it felt like a break from the stress. Here's the thing, I wasn't faking joy. I was choosing it. Even in pain, even in isolation, gratitude became the bridge between fear and peace. And that, my friends, is the heart of Sintra's teaching. Happiness isn't the absence of hardship. It's the presence of gratitude. And since happiness is contagious, I've started running a little social experiment, spreading smiles on purpose. After yoga, when I'm leaving class, I'll often see people walking toward me with their mats in hand, heading for the next session. I smile and say, "The wonderful class," a wonder-full class. They see my mat, recognize a kindred spirit, and most of the time, they smile back. Sometimes they look startled, but either way, I like to think it shifts their next 5 minutes. Maybe it reminds them that they're not alone in the climb. Because happiness really does travel faster than Wi-Fi. Now, you don't have to take my word or Sintra's for it. Science has been catching up to what yogis and grandmothers have known forever. There's a Dr. Martin Seligman at the University of Pennsylvania who found that people who intentionally practice gratitude and optimism report higher levels of satisfaction and resilience. Apparently, optimism really is good for you, and it doesn't even require a membership fee or a mat. Oh, and there's Harvard researcher Sean Acker, I'm going to guess that's how it's pronounced, calls it happiness advantage. When your brain is positive, he says you are 31% more productive, more creative, and better at problem solving. So maybe happiness isn't a luxury. Maybe it's a strategy. Oh, and decades before Instagram and yoga mats, although haven't yoga mats been around for a long time? Anyway, Margaret Lee Runbeck, an American novelist and essayist, whose mid-century writings explore everyday spirituality, wrote this simple truth. Happiness is not a station you arrive at, but a manner of traveling. That line became her legacy. She reminded us that happiness isn't about arriving somewhere new. It's about how we move through where we already are. Turns out Sintra, Instagram, and science, and a few poets, agree. Happiness isn't a stop on the map. It's the way we walk the path. It's what we pack in our carry-on. It's our playlist, our patience, and our point of view. Now, before you rush into your week, as you can see, I'm rushing into mine. I'm drinking my morning coffee. Take a second to check your emotional baggage. Are you packing resentment, comparison, or that old, "I'll be happy when I can fit into my skinny jeans"? Maybe it's time to leave that behind. Check your attitude like you check your gas tank. Top off your gratitude. Keep your humor in the front seat. And remember, the world doesn't need more people who have arrived. It needs more travelers who bring the light with them. And if the road gets bumpy, roll down the windows, crank up the music, and remember, the ride is the point. Let's not adapt ourselves to the world we live in. Let's live as our best selves, having an influence on the world around us. Sing anyway, dance anyway, smile anyway, shine anyway. You are allowed to be happy right now, before the promotion, before the perfect body, before the world catches up. You don't need permission, just presence. You got this. Oh, and make sure you share this message with a friend. There's probably somebody out there who needs a reminder that happiness isn't the destination. Or tag your favorite optimist to let them know that they're not singing solo out there. And until next week, stay hydrated and keep smiling. We'll talk to you soon.
Like what you heard here today? Then we should be friends. I suggest you join my Facebook group. It's a good way to connect. We can have a conversation. Ask me questions, whatever you want to do. It is called the Wonderful Bucket List Life. That's wonder-full Bucket List Life. Be a bucket lister and join me on this adventure. Or you can go to my webpage, which is Wonder Wendy and Friends, join the mailing list, learn about the book I wrote, adventures that are coming up in the future, and other podcasts. I look forward to talking to you soon, and stay hydrated. Have a great day.